Moses Moody, on the other hand, I'm told there is a window for him to get a deal done, and they believe he can have a real rotation role.
Life-changing money secured. Is there any big purchase that you're excited to make?
Put learning, I ain't never had this much money before.
Jonathan Kuminga is a player that the Warriors believe can emerge as that superstar player.
So Jonathan Kuminga, I'm told, will not be getting an extension done. The Warriors do want to see how this plays out this upcoming season, and if he plays well, they want to pay him.
As far as like the mentality and mindset for JK, there's, one way of thinking that he could be extra motivated, and there's another way of thinking that this could be in his head a little bit as far as getting the bigger contract. Where do you fall on that, and is there any concern about that being in the back of his mind at all?
The Golden State Warriors and Jonathan Kuminga were unable to reach an agreement on a contract extension before the deadline. In addition to that, Joe Lacob came out and said that just because they didn't land a superstar in the offseason doesn't mean they won't. It just hasn't happened yet. Could this have implications for Jonathan Kuminga and Moses Moody at the trade deadline? Hey, what's happening, everyone? This is Swish Culture. The extension deadline for the 2021 to 2022 NBA rookies has just passed, and while Moses Moody inked a 3-year, $39 million deal with the Warriors, Jonathan Kuminga is set to become a free agent at the end of this season. But there's a lot more going on behind the scenes than a disagreement on salary. As it turns out, the Warriors' initial plan was to sign both Paul George and Lauri Markkanen this summer, a deal which, had they done, would likely have seen the entire young core evaporate from Golden State. This would have created a new Big Four with Steph, PG-13, Draymond, and Markkanen. How were they planning to achieve this, and what would the supporting cast have looked like? I think the early season trades have given us a pretty good idea. I've been saying this all offseason, and I will say it again. The only superstar that does not have any superstar help is Stephen Curry, proof that the league is still terrified of the small light-skinned brother whether or not they would like to admit it. I mean, even Steph called out the rest of the league on this very issue. How is this shaping up the season for the Warriors, and what exactly was being said? Is Jonathan Kuminga going to be a Warrior by the end of the season? More on all the above coming up in today's video, but before that, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to Swish Culture for the most analytical and entertaining NBA content on the planet. Now get ready. You're about to get After preseason averages of 15.5 points while shooting 39% from 3, Moses Moody has solidified himself as a rotational piece for the Golden State Warriors. While he was second in taking care of the ball, what stuck out for Moses Moody was his plus-minus, which was a plus 14, a number that is significantly higher than it has ever been in any other preseason. This is a result of him being more aggressive, playing faster, and acclimating to the pace of the NBA. In other words, the game has slowed down a lot for Moody. This in turn led to the Warriors offering Moody a solid but team-friendly deal for $13 million a year. This ties Moses Moody up for the next 4 years, however, he's still able to be traded this season. His outgoing salary would count as $5.8 million for the Warriors, and his incoming salary for the team that would hypothetically trade for him would be $11.2 million. Moody easily had the best preseason of all the Warriors players, and what he did, considering the departure of Klay Thompson, could put Moody in a position later on down the road to be the Warriors' starting shooting guard, slotted between Stephen Curry and Andrew Wiggins. But we're more likely to see him come off the bench as a wing behind Kuminga. While the rotation seems to be in favor of Wiggins starting, if he and JK don't create enough spacing, we're likely to see Kerr go with a lineup featuring Melton at the 2 instead. Melton holds key abilities which Kerr finds endlessly valuable, and those are defense, passing, and shooting. With Moody, you get shooting and defense, but limited passing. With Pods, you get passing and shooting, but limited defense. At this point, you're probably wondering, where does Buddy Hield fit in all this? With Moody's key attributes being defense, rebounding, and shooting, again, this causes him to get pushed to the 3 to make room for Buddy Hield, who brings shooting and a little bit of passing. Not known for being a passer or playmaker, Hield has improved that aspect of his game over the years in the league. If you look at the number of assists he's been providing per game, the improvement is very noticeable. With Moody's new contract, he's now the 4th highest paid player on the Warriors roster behind Curry, Green, and Wiggins. His entire contract is also guaranteed, which shows you the value he has with the Warriors and where he will likely fall on Steve Kerr's pecking order. Somewhere right around Melton. When asked about his starting lineup this season, Steve Kerr let it be known that he still hasn't actually figured out his starting lineup just yet. His intent is to start with the lineup he thinks is the best and try to go from there, hopefully utilizing this lineup throughout the season. While he hasn't shared that information, something tells me that the lineup will include Curry, Wiggins, Kuminga, Green, and Jackson Davis. This is the Warriors' biggest lineup, and if JK is going to work as the team's small forward, now is the best time to figure it out. If this lineup wins games, it'll become the team's permanent starting lineup. If they start losing, or Draymond decides to throw the Warriors season for the 5th time, we might actually see a change in the lineup with Melton, Moody, Pods, and Hield on deck. For those of you asking, did Draymond really throw the Warriors season 5 times? Let's count them. 2016 with the Game 5 suspension. However many more seasons KD would have stayed with the Warriors had Draymond not chased him out. 2023 with Jordan Poole, and 2024 with multiple suspensions. 4 separate occasions that Green has done things detrimental to the team that otherwise could have resulted in championships. Imagine Steph Curry could have had possibly another 2 to 3 rings. But as they say, there's no use crying over spilled milk. Obviously, Draymond is a hell of a player, and him not being there for the team when they counted on him the most as their leader is what hurt. He was also a big reason the Warriors drafted Jonathan Kuminga. Man, was he shocked when Steve Kerr decided JK was a 4 instead of a 3. But that's where today's biggest problem lies. The Warriors and Kuminga were unable to reach a deal, and the deadline has passed. This means JK is going to be a restricted free agent at the end of the season, if he lasts through the deadline. Lacob indicated that they were trying to get both Paul George and Lauri Markkanen. Clearly swinging for the fences, this would have taken most of the Warriors' young players. While I couldn't find all the details, based on the trade discussions, we can tell how the Warriors were likely to go about this. The idea was to trade Moody and picks for Markkanen. This would leave Golden State with JK, Pods, Trace for talent, as well as Wiggins and CP3 for salary filler for Paul George. Now, they're not moving both Pods and JK in the same trade, and considering PG-13's position, they're likely moving JK. This means they move Kuminga and Wiggins, maybe a 2nd-round pick for Paul George, while keeping Pods and Trace. Had the Clippers and Jazz play ball, Dunleavy would have taken out both Bob Myers' picks in one fell swoop. But alas, thwarted by Ainge the Fleecer and a delusional Clippers ownership, because not only did Paul George walk without giving them anything in return, the Clippers are the James Harden and Terrence Mann show as Kawhi's legs have bowed out before the start of the season. The Western Conference is so terrified of Stephen Curry having any superstar help, they would rather sacrifice the future of their entire team. Something the Clippers apparently did twice in the last 5 years. Even the Pelicans sent AD to play with LeBron, and while the Pels got a haul, Paul George had no value to the Clippers, and Markkanen is no Anthony Davis. Why is everyone so damn scared of a freaking 6'2" light-skinned dude? Seems the Warriors were not the worse for the wear, however, as it wasn't just Kawhi who took an arrow to the knee. Paul George hyperextended his and will be making bench highlights with Joel Embiid to start the season. Considering what the Warriors would have forked over to pay both Markkanen and Paul George, JK is of the belief that he can provide a similar value to the team. This means a max contract worth $45 million a year for 5 years, worth a total of $224 million. The Warriors, on the other hand, had JK pegged at about $30 million a year for a total contract worth up to $150 million. This would be similar to the deal the Hawks just gave to Jalen Johnson, a player often compared to Jonathan Kuminga. Johnson last year averaged 16 points, almost 9 rebounds, almost 4 assists, and 1.2 steals while shooting 35.5% from three-point range in 34 minutes. He was drafted 20th overall by the Atlanta Hawks after Johnson decided to forego the second half of his college freshman year by declaring for the NBA draft. It's very likely he would have been drafted higher had he stayed the full year, as this raised questions. Johnson is a 6'8" wing that does everything on the floor. He scores, he's got a serviceable 3-ball, he defends, he grabs rebounds at a high level, and makes an impact everywhere on the floor. He's got Kuminga beat on a few of those metrics except for scoring. This aspect of Kuminga's game far outpaces Johnson's. However, until one or both players take the next leap, it's tough to say who will end up being the better player. Jonathan has so far refused to accept the Warriors' offer and has decided to bet on himself this season. This means he could play himself into a lower or higher contract. The Warriors could then reevaluate prior to the trade deadline, as they have been interested in Jimmy Butler for some time, and the Heat might be interested in Kuminga. If Kuminga plays up to a max, the Warriors keep him, no question. If he struggles, however, we could see Jonathan Kuminga leave the team by the middle of the season. Although this is unlikely, it is still a possibility, and a package around JK and Wiggins, depending on how the two play, might see the Warriors bag Jimmy before giving Jimmy a bag at the end of this season. The good thing for Golden State in that scenario is that they get to see what Jimmy can do before they sign him to a contract extension. If he fizzles out after the trade, they don't extend him, and he has another year left to show that he's still capable of playing at the highest level. If he helps them win a championship, the trade becomes a huge bonus for the Warriors, who would likely end up giving Jimmy the contract he's looking for, and potentially allows the Warriors a couple of championships in this window. At this point, JK has the option to either cry about not getting the max and having it become a piece of baggage for him to carry throughout the season, or he could use it for motivation and bring his best game.
Yeah, I mean, I think that approach is up to him. His motivation shouldn't change. Now, how he gets there and what he thinks about and all that, you'd have to ask him about that.
Dunleavy believes the latter to be true, and that this is the best position for both the team and Kuminga to be in. If he's worth the contract, he'll get paid at the end of the year. If he's not, he might have to accept a lesser offer than what the Warriors proposed this season. This is the main reason why JK needs to be in the starting lineup, as it answers every last question that the Warriors front office have about what he's capable of doing and how he can help the team. It's up to Steve to put him in position, but it is up to him to show up and execute. If I had to guess, I'd say JK will play himself into a bigger contract next season. Draymond Green stated that anything less than an all-star for Kuminga is a failure, and this tells me all I need to know. I can't wait to watch this kid play himself into a max deal, because this could not have been any better for Golden State. Stephen Curry ready for chip number 5, a rebooted Wiggins, a contract-motivated Kuminga, a more aggressive Moses Moody, Trace Jackson Davis with a chip on his shoulder, and the best shooting team this team has had since 2019? I know I'm leaving a few guys out, but you get the idea. This will be a dangerous team to contend with, regardless of what moves they make or don't by the trade deadline. But a lot more fun to watch if the young guys get the playing time and see some growth through doing so. Do you guys agree with that take though? What's stopping Kuminga from taking the next leap and putting up a stat line of 26-3 next season with good defense? What's stopping Moody from working himself into the starting lineup? Let me know what you think by posting your thoughts in the comments below. Before that, however, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on all your notifications so you don't miss any of my latest uploads. Thanks for watching. Till next time, swish!